Hey, everybody. Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. I think that's a Roger. We are live. So, big thank you for joining. I'm trying to get these done as early as possible so I can catch our people in Europe. We've got a lot of people in Spain and France and Eastern Europe, etc., Romania. So, big thank you. So, this is the time of the week where I answer all your questions. And every time we go through this, can hear you. Good. Yes, he's live. Yeah, just making sure in the chat here. Hello, Cardano family. Hello. Yes, Cardano fans. Two things. One, get these things out earlier, and also find different visuals because the weekly Q&A is getting more and more complicated. This channel is about math, money, freedom. This is a disclaimer. Now this is investment advice. So we're all about learning and helping you guys secure financial freedom. So the first question that came in is obviously one on a top of people's minds is all the FUD that Elon Musk is spreading and now is offering assistance to fund Doge. This is a question from Malcolm Booth. And he is concerned basically with what Musk is doing. Could it become a cheaper, greener to Bitcoin? Big question. Here, we've got to try to get inside the head of Elon Musk. We have to try to figure out exactly what Doge is and does it make sense? Is it comparable to anything else? So what I'm trying to do now as well, and drop me a comment below, I've created little mind maps so you guys can see inside my head. And I wanted this to be kind of an illustration of us trying to see inside Elon Musk's head too. So first of all, we start at the top right corner. This is an old saying, but every human endeavor must have, and Dogecoin is no exception. And obviously, Elon Musk has been pumping Dogecoin since the beginning of time. The mind of Elon Musk, but hopefully you guys have a better picture of what's going on. So first of all, there's a whole bunch of theories as to why he's doing this. One, he hates shorts. He likes to mess with people who are doing things like longing Bitcoin and wrecking them. Who knows? We're not sure exactly. He also likes to mess with the status quo of exactly what's going on. And he's a little bit of an egomaniac. He likes the attention and spotlight to be on him. Who else would go on Saturday Night Live and spend a week acting? So back to Doge. Doge is like a currency. It's inflationary. It's used to buy things, so it's not a good thing. Whereas Bitcoin is the, as I call it, the most pristine store of value. Bitcoin is also the first mover. There are over 10,000 or 20,000 altcoins out there right now, and only one gorilla. So the question is Doge going to replace Bitcoin? The answer is never. Doge is like a fiat currency to a large extent that can be used for spending money. Now, going back in here for a second, Doge has very few developers. It is a very risky platform. And there were a lot of competitors, for example, VeChain, Tether, Binance Coin, KuCoin, even XRP. These are all things that could very easily derail Doge. So don't think of it as an alternative. Now, the question is, Musk now wants to create his own coin. Maybe not just Doge. He might just forget about Doge and do his own thing. Now, back to Bitcoin and threats. Obviously, I believe nothing is forever in this life. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, who knows? There could be risk from quantum computing if they don't upgrade the platform and make it quantum proof, which I know they will. But really, nothing is forever. And there's always a 1 in 100,000 chance that Elon Musk actually is Satoshi. So I hope that answers your question. Don't worry about Doge and what Elon Musk is up to. It's just his playing with the world. He is eccentric. He's a genius. And geniuses tend to do crazy things. So that's that question. So big thank you for your question. Second question today is from Chuck Munk. So if Bitcoin is supposed to replace fiat money someday, what happens to all the millions of people who didn't get any Bitcoin? This is an excellent question. And obviously, it would be very, very concerning not to have a strong hedge against the fiat debasement that's going to occur right now. But I prepared a couple of little notes as well, so you see exactly the way I think. So Bitcoin versus fiat, a couple of dimensions here. And your question is excellent. So Bitcoin is typically used as a speculative investment and not as a currency, which fiat is. And it's hard to spend Bitcoin as a currency. for a whole bunch of reasons. It's a little bit slow, etc. Now, that being said, it's changing very fast. So, for example, there is a new release coming for Bitcoin that's going to speed it up a little bit. You've got lots of places where you can spend your Bitcoin, like the Dallas Mavericks. You were able to buy a Tesla with Bitcoin up until a few days ago, and you might be able to do it again. Palantir are now accepting Bitcoin instead of fiat currency as an option. You can use it as auctions, overstock. Microsoft have been using Bitcoin in their Xbox platform since the year 2013, 2014. So, we'll see exactly what happens. Now, the big thing really to mention here is the adoption curve of Bitcoin. And I'm going to dwell on this for a second before we go into exactly what will happen to people still holding fiat if they don't get a chance to get any Bitcoin. First of all, we are very early. Less than 2% or 1% of the world has adopted Bitcoin. That means somewhere between 25 million and 100 million people. It's very hard to figure out exactly right now because there are so many Bitcoin proxies. But this is doubling every year. So people expect 5% of the planet, approximately 200 million people, to adopt Bitcoin next year. Double again, so it'd be 10% of the population a year after. So by this estimate, in 4 to 5 years, nearly 1 billion people will be using Bitcoin. And that is huge, and that shows you how early we are. And despite all the FUD that we're going through right now and all the concern that people have, I know many people are thinking about jumping off the bridge and freaking out because I'm on the receiving end of a lot of that within the Patreon community. But again, relax. We're very early. I actually made a little notification to Patreon today of a little bit of activity where I purchased 2 cryptocurrencies during what was quite a dramatic dip. But let's jump back into this mind map here for a second and talk about a few other things. So if you imagine somebody has fiat, imagine somebody has $1 million of fiat US dollars sitting in a bank account for the next 10 years. There will be what's called purchasing power erosion. Those people, at the end of 10 years, I estimate will have about $520,000 in real purchasing power today. So if you imagine Bugatti Veyron costs $1 million today, and it'll cost $1 million in 10 years, they'll be able to buy one Bugatti Veyron today and half of one in 10 years. So that's what's going to happen to them. Fiat is not going away. It'll always be there. Bitcoin will not replace fiat, at least for the next 10 to 20 years, maybe even longer. But those with fiat will still be able to use their fiat, but they're going to have a lot less purchasing power. And that's why it's so important to hedge. And that's what I've been hammering on everybody here for quite some time, is the whole inflation education and how important it is. So I'll give you another illustration. I'm working with 3 vendors, and they all want to be paid in Bitcoin. So I'm going to step out for a second here. Nobody wants fiat anymore. The adoption, again, less than 2% of the planet has it. It's about to skyrocket. And everybody I know, they don't want to be paid in fiat. I say, here, where can I wire you some dollars or whatever? They say, no, thanks. I want to be paid in Bitcoin. But it fluctuates. It could be risky. It could go down. I say, I don't care. I want to be paid in Bitcoin. So vendors and all sorts of artisans all want to be paid in Bitcoin. And that's real. So I'll give you an example. Imagine I paid somebody 0.05 Bitcoin today. The cost is $2,200. When Bitcoin goes to $100,000, which many expect it'll do this year, that fee paid is now worth $5,000, or 127% more than it would have been if I paid in fiat. So when you're paying people in Bitcoin, you got to think about that future value. And you also have to think about the corollary and the opposite when you are holding Bitcoin or holding fiat. And other price estimates, you all know these, but 2024 to 2025, many people believe the range of Bitcoin will be easily in the $275,000 to $1 million range. That's looking at all the most accurate price predictions, including my own. So imagine $300,000 to $1 million, and that's where it's going, despite this weak moment. And people have very short-term memories. Bitcoin's still up 5 or 6 times since literally 6 months ago, and they get very worried when it doesn't go up for 3 months. But it's good. I think stability is good. It's not wicking down that bad. It has had some bad hits. But remember, this is the biggest wealth transformational time of our lifetime. So everybody, I hope we get on the train. So thank you for that great question. Next question. This is one from Carl D. I decided to get some Bitcoin and Ethereum. What platform should I use? Coinbase Pro or PayPal? So this is a very good question. We get this a lot. And we actually have a sheet that we share with people. But first of all, you have to ask yourself a few questions. Do you want easy, medium, or pro level exchanges? Then you need to know what coins you'll ultimately want to buy over time. Then you need to think about custody options. Do you want to self-custody your crypto? Because some exchanges don't allow you to download your crypto. And then you need to look at fees. Some exchanges are very expensive, like Gemini and Kraken can be quite expensive. Others are very, very cheap. So in summary, quick summary for everybody, I use Coinbase Pro, and Coinbase, they're considered kind of the best for power users, but they don't have all the coins. If you want to get a lot of altcoins, for example, if you want to buy Solana, you need something like Binance. The best app for beginners to get started quick would be the Cash app from Square. It's super easy. The fees are low. Their fills and spreads are very good, and you can download your crypto. But they only offer Bitcoin. So that's Cash app. The quickest on-ramp for people that don't have Cash app, but have something called PayPal, and I know 32 million of you out there have it. You can buy crypto on PayPal, but you can't download it yet. And other one, best for like Ethereum and Bitcoin, for example, are available on PayPal. And the best transaction spreads are actually from Robinhood, but they also don't allow you to download your crypto. So they're working on that, they promise. We have to wait and see. So Robinhood, cheapest, best, fastest, but it's locked in. So if you're speculating and it's a quick on-ramp, why not? As long as you don't want to self-custody. So thank you for those questions. Let's jump further ahead. And this is a question from Chuck Munk. And what do you look for before investing in a coin? So this is something I've actually run through this twice already. I've put together what I call a crypto coin or token valuation process, and it's a 10-part system. The first part, I look at what the actual coin or token does, services it offers, the team, the history, the founding, who's backing it, what relationships they have, etc. The vision, the mission, that's very important. Second of all, how it plays, what spaces of operation and use cases does it have. Third thing is the industries it can disrupt, very, very important. I like ones that are going after big industries that can be disrupted, like VeChain. And by the way, I'm still getting heat for VeChain. I said if you valued it like a traditional software company, that was my valuation. But if it's valued like Dogecoin, it'll go to the roof. So everybody, please relax on the VeChain stuff. And I own VeChain, so I wouldn't buy it if I thought it was garbage. Then you look at the ranking, the domination in its space is very important. The growth and the growth rates of adoption, also very important. You look at the value props, what makes it special? Very, very key. And the amount of developers it has, and developer adoption and usability of the code base and security and the moat is very critical to look at too. The third last one is the ecosystem, the key partners and players, the longevity, how long it's been around. Like if something's been around for 3 months versus something that's been around for 6 years, you have to weigh that in. And then price prediction. Price prediction is probably the most important thing, because if the token has already done a 10x or 100x, you might be too late to the party. So even though it might be a very good token, there might be no more upside. Therefore, I wouldn't invest. So I look at all of these 10 dimensions, and actually my Solana review is coming out tomorrow using this exact same framework. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for the great question. So this question is from Salim Sarkar. What is the future of Ethereum Classic? And a lot of people have Ethereum Classic, and I don't know why. So I'm going to go through again. Let me know in the comments if you like this structure to get inside my head. But lots of cryptos have similar names, and therefore people are getting tripped up sometimes. I'm not saying in all cases, but they're buying a crypto that they think is Bitcoin, or they think is Ethereum, or they think is something else. So for example, there are many flavors of Bitcoin. There is Bitcoin, the original and the best, and then there's Bitcoin Cash and a whole bunch of others. And same with Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. And even if you do a search across the 20,000 altcoins, you'll see the Ethereum word pop up a few times. So a couple of things real quick. Ethereum is not Ethereum Classic, and vice versa. Ethereum Classic is, Ethereum is worth, has a market cap of I think 400 billion, and Ethereum Classic has a market cap of, I think, about 8 billion or something. So it's a lot larger. Now, what's good about Ethereum Classic, for those that may invest, is the consensus is proof of work, which I'm a fan of, although there's a lot of talk about moving to proof of stake because of energy savings. There's also a max supply of 21 million. Sound familiar? Or 210 million, sorry. 21 million is Bitcoin. And Ethereum is moving to proof of stake instead of proof of work. And that'll make Ethereum Classic seem a little bit unique. Now, we'll see where all this goes. Now, many believe that Ethereum Classic could go to $500. It's about $90 today. And for a short-term trader, there's lots of volatility and lots of opportunity. But I would not recommend it as a long-term hold, and let me explain why. So ETH clearly has a better future because it has way more expansive use cases. Second of all, there is an exploitation and a colorful history, which I won't go into here, but it is a little bit tarnished. And that's why the whole Ethereum versus Ethereum Classic came about. And there's a lot of people who have different opinions on that. Now, Ethereum Classic has also been delisted in some exchanges, which is not good. And the Ethereum Classic Trust, a lot of people are actually, this is the Grayscale product. A lot of people bought into it early last year, which means they're in a position to liquidate their assets. And that's bringing about a lot of people who are covering some shorts against borrowed positions. So net, the future could be bad. Now, the bad, quick summary, investors are seeking quick gains in today's market, and therefore they have pumped Ethereum Classic a lot, maybe because they're confusing it or it's just a speculative investment. It is susceptible to 51% of tax. There are less developers, a lot of short covering happening, etc., and everything is centralized across 2 mining pools. So it's hard to say, but a lot of people, if they do have Ethereum Classic and you've made some gains, maybe think about taking those gains and moving to Ethereum or some other altcoins. But I just don't know where this is going. I know Charles Hoskinson is investing in part of it as well, the development, but I think he's doing that to get at the Ethereum guys. So who knows? But net, be careful. There's a lot of talk that Ethereum could go to 5,000, 10,000. Some people are saying 20,000. And this Ethereum Classic maximum upside, we're not sure where it is. It could go back down to 50 or less. It could go to 500. We'll see. But just be careful out there if you are in it. A couple of things as well, just to note, these are the market caps right now, 410 billion for Ethereum and 10 billion for Ethereum Classic. So I'll show you Ethereum is 40 times larger in terms of market cap, which is a very, very big difference. And if you look at the chart, this is very interesting as well. Ethereum Classic, 50% of the last 12 months, Ethereum Classic was actually negative. It went down. 90% of the last 12 months, Ethereum was up 1,200%, Ethereum Classic is only up 400%. But the spike in speculation and short covering only happened over the past month. So just remember, it's subject to a lot of that speculation, and you don't want to be caught on the wrong side of that. So the intrinsic value clearly is not there because there's no way the markets would have just caught up in the last month or so. So be careful. So that's all I'm going to say on that one. So next question, portfolio type question here from Don A. If this was your portfolio, which 2 cryptos would you add and what would you sell to purchase into those 2 additional cryptos? This is an interesting portfolio, and it's not that dissimilar to mine. We've got a lot of the same things: Bitcoin, Tesla, MicroStrategy, Square, etc. I also have elements of ARK, and including the ARK-G, the genomic investment. Open is the only one I don't have, and I would probably consider ditching Open. And also, there's a couple of things to note about this portfolio. Let me jump ahead and show you some of my thoughts on paper. First of all, you are over 50% Bitcoin. And when you add in the Bitcoin proxies like MicroStrategy, you're 56% Bitcoin. So that could be very heavy for a whole portfolio, as you're probably experiencing right now. And if you looked at my other series, it's good to have a third in terms of your investments. And you can check that out in my investment allocation video. So the second thing, you have duplicates. For example, Tesla is also an RK. So be careful of that too. You have a lot of Tesla concentration, and with the mindset, and I have a lot of Tesla concentration as well, but with the mindset lately of Elon Musk, I'm a little bit concerned. Hopefully he'll get back to focusing on work and leave the crypto world. So it's good to have ETFs as well, as long as you have a 5-year horizon. The horizon typically of Cathie Wood and the ARK ETFs is 5 years, and they're beaten down right now. So if somebody's looking for a safe place to park aggressive money and they have 5 years to wait, these ETFs would make up a good, very conservative part of your portfolio, like 1/3. So the Open, I had to look up that company. I wasn't familiar with it, but interesting business, but very overvalued in my opinion. So think about stop losses in future when you get into a position. And ARKG, the genomic play, I have about 2% in genomics as well, built across 3 separate stocks. I like to look at things like really good ETFs and pull out the top 3. So typically an ETF would have 60 holdings. I like to find the top 3 or 4. And in my opinion, they were CRISPR, Invitae, and Illumina. And also it's very important to consider is think of where we are in the cycle. And I like safe crypto and heavy into ETH and Bitcoin. I'm 60-40 in those, 60% Bitcoin, but 40% Ethereum because Ethereum has run and Bitcoin's been weak. But I also have been adding lately over the past couple of months, Binance, Cardano, Engine, Solana, Polkadot, and VeChain. Small positions. They're about 2% of my whole crypto portfolio. So if I was looking at safe ones, definitely a little Ethereum, a little Cardano, maybe look at some of the other ones like Solana as well, and Binance. I think they all have very, very bright futures. So Dom, thank you for the question. Now, let me see what happened. This is another interesting one. And sometimes I pump out so much content, there can be confusion. So I think it's very important to be very visual and map everything out. So this is a question. What happened to your original opinion that Cardano will do better than Ethereum? From Dick T. So I put together a mind map. I never said it would be better. What I did say was the risk, the beta of Cardano is higher than that of Ethereum. And I also said I've always been a bigger Ethereum bull than Cardano. And that's proven by the fact that my Ethereum holding is, 80 to 100 times larger than my Cardano holding. But what I did say was the beta of Cardano is higher, and therefore the risk is higher. Therefore, they can run faster, but also fall faster. So the chance of a token going from $1 to $10 is easier than one going from $1,000 to $10,000. However, that being said, with Ethereum, it has blown up from $100 in March 2020 to $4,300 a week ago. That's a 43x. I did not see that coming. But Cardano is also up 40x in the same time frame. So they're both actually very similar, despite the fact the beta is a lot lower for Ethereum. But the Ethereum has just maybe ran a little bit too far, too fast. But a lot of people are still talking about an $8,000, $10,000 Ethereum this year. And Cardano price predictions, mine originally was $3. And now everybody's talking about a $5 or $10 or $10 easy Cardano in 2021. So we'll see. So I hope that answers your question. But always check any of my videos. I'm always much more bullish on Ethereum for the reasons: less risk, safer bet, really good use cases, and adoption. And they're battle tested. So final question, your story about moving to the US from Laurentio Vladu. Thank you for this one. This is interesting. So I was actually working in Switzerland, and they asked me to move to the US for a 2-year stage. And the plan was to move to Chicago, Illinois in the early 90s. And I didn't want to go. I was very happy in Switzerland. I was sailing for a Swiss national team and doing a lot of other good stuff. And eventually they convinced me to go. So I went. And the first 2 weeks, I hated it. I came to the US with a bicycle and a suitcase. Nothing else. So like your typical poor immigrant, came here with nothing. And the first 2 weeks were hell. I was living in hotels. It was November. It was freezing in Chicago. And then I went out one night after being bored in the hotel. And I discovered that Americans are very friendly and there's a lot to do and there's a lot of freedom. But what I define as freedom is different to what other people define as freedom. But you could do things like walk into a car dealership and buy a car, in minutes. Or you could set up a corporation in minutes. Or you can invest in something that I fell in love with very early on in 94. It was called the NASDAQ stock market, and play with options and stuff. So that type of freedom was was what I fell in love with in the US. So, and here I am. And we are 27 years later. So time flies. Thank you for the question, everybody. I'm going to open this up now to Q&A. So let me pop up the chat. And I hope you guys are okay with the new format. Let me try get this chat here so I can pop it out and read the questions and look into the camera at the same time on these screens. There's too many screens going on at the same time. So let me pop this up. And here we are. Okay. So Robert Dixon, do you all have paper hands or diamond hands? Or lettuce hands, or was it spinach hands, I think is the term. So I hope everybody is staying strong. Let's just look at the market, exactly what's going on right now, because I've been distracted with you guys. So market is still bouncing around, very beaten down. And typically Sunday night is when there's a lot of action. So it wouldn't surprise me if things go well tonight. H-bar, everybody wants to look at H-bar. So that's one of the things on my list. Again, I'm doing an analysis of Solana tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. Question from Jason Justice. I should make sure I have the slow reel on. Should I buy Bitcoin after 70K or wait for the bear market after 2020 so I can buy at a lower price? So Jason, this is quick one here. I've covered this before. A lot of people think Bitcoin, I personally believe Bitcoin will go like 105,000 to 208,000 in this cycle. And they say the retracement will only be about 40%, maybe 35 to 40%. So imagine we go to 100,000 and it retraces back 35 to 40%. It'll take us back to 60,000. So you might not be able to get in. Waiting till after 70K could be too high. I just, as I always say, all roads lead to Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. I think it's probably safer to get a little bit now and then see what happens afterwards. I see something there, RIP Joe Rogan. I hope Joe Rogan's okay. I'm actually a big fan of his. So, and the bear market, I always say the impact of the bear market is always less as the halvings happen. So let's see what happens. So slow mo, please. Okay, let me see. Whoa. For the cicadas. Thank you so much, Andrew Smith. Very generous of you. And there is actually a cat floating around here somewhere in the house, believe it or not. I hope to get a dog soon too. Actually, just because you're funded by a brilliant human being, we love the community. Brielle, you're so good. Thank you, Andrew. Harry Bailey, where are the bull and the bear? They're downstairs. So I had some complaints about internet speed, and I'm testing something out to be closer to the router, hardwired on a Cat 6 cable. So hope there's no lagging today. Let me know if there's any lagging. Daniel Trush, new investor. Thank you for all the amazing videos. If I need 2K to start with now, how would you build a portfolio in crypto? Much aloha from Hawaii. Yes, Hawaii. Oh my God. I might be filming from Hawaii in early June, but that's a secret. What I would do, definitely with 2,000, I'd buy a little bit of ETH, a little bit of Bitcoin. It's always the same story. And then you can speculate with maybe a third. So go, 50% or 40% Bitcoin, 40% Ethereum, or 50% Bitcoin, 30% Ethereum, and leave the last 20% to speculate on some safe but good names with really good cases, like VeChain, like Solana, those types of names. Just look at kind of what I do and some of the stuff that I buy into. Cardano is also good, but some of these ones have run already. But you can get great purchase prices if you wait for the dips. So be patient, sit and wait. I mean, a lot of people wanted to FOMO into Ethereum last week as it was blowing through 4,300. And if they just waited a few days, they could have bought it at, under 3,500 today. So Brian Auger, what is your favorite comic book or superhero? This is going to be very sad, but I've never read a comic book in my life. And the superhero movies, I've only ever watched one. And the one, it was called, somebody recommended it to me. It was a Batman movie called The Dark Knight. And I actually enjoyed it. But I've never gotten into any of those superhero things. So I hope that's not disappointing for people. Maybe. Okay. Adrian Rodriguez, thanks for the great info. if you were to have 150,000 at the beginning of June, what crypto would you invest in? That's a very difficult question because I need a crystal ball. We don't know where things are going to be. I do think July will be a very good month for crypto, although it's normally a very quiet month in the stock market. But I think a lot of money will start flowing in from the BlackRocks and the JP Morgans and the Morgan Stanleys. They're setting up all their infrastructure right now to do crypto custody for high net worth individuals. And they're not going to be fully ready to launch until June, July timeframe. And that's when the big money is going to come in. And that's when I expect things like Bitcoin really to go up. So it's hard to say. If things are still flat like they are today, again, same thing. Go for the pristine assets first. The biggest ones are the best use cases, and then speculate in some others. But the way things are moving right now, it's hard to say. I mean, the growth in some of the names is just quite crazy. But I'm very happy to see Dogecoin falling back out and not being top 4 anymore. So, question from Cybertechnico. Thoughts about Litecoin? Deep dive vid. Thank you for your work. I'm planning on joining Patreon. Yeah, I hate to disappoint people, but I'm not a fan of Litecoin. There's some colored history there I don't like. And I think there's far better investments. So I hope sometimes when I say I'm not a big fan of something, people get upset, but it's not where I'd place my bets right now. I think there's more downside than upside. And I think I always look at things from a risk reward perspective, and I look at their background and history. But I will do a Litecoin deep dive because so many people are asking for it. I think a lot of you out there actually hold Litecoin. And also, I think Litecoin gained a little bit in popularity because of some additional on-ramps. So hope that answers your question, but I think there's better places to put money than Litecoin. I understand the use case. Okay, Bell Honey Pop. Hi there. I have 20 ETH, 1 Bitcoin, and 10,000 ADA. Ooh, you must have been very happy last week with all that Cardano. I pulled these 3 weeks ago. Now they're tanking, not ADA. Can't afford to buy the dip. Just hold. Yeah. Once you're in a situation, I always say to people, always have some dry powder because you never know what's going to happen. There can always be a bargain, a shopping opportunity right now. So always try to hold like at least 5 to 10% of your. It can always fall, but sometimes if you keep some these opportunities, but you have a great portfolio, a very nice mix, 3 very solid names with a very bright future. And don't worry about what's happened over the past 3 or 4 weeks. People say, oh my God, my portfolio has turned red and I'm envious of everybody making a lot of money when I look over the fence. Sometimes it's not true. Not everybody tells the truth about how much money they're making. Or maybe, yeah, they did get 100x on investing in Dogecoin, but they probably only had $10 or $100 in there in the first place. It's not like they're putting in life-changing money. So stay chilled, stay patient, and these things will come back very nicely. And your 10,000 Cardano will help a lot in that process. So let me see. Any other quick questions before I drive? I'm going to drink some tea in my little teacup here. Somebody keeps saying Smegmars is the way. Smegmars gang. I don't know if these guys are spammers. So somebody giving a poop sign, whatever that means. Let me see. Theta. A lot of people are asking about Theta too as well. There's a lot of Irish people that are asking me. I'm not Irish. So are you staking your Ethereum? No, I'm not staking my Ethereum. I don't stake anything because I like the flexibility. So imagine a lot of people are staking something away for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever the case may be, no matter what the token is. But imagine the world goes to hell and you lose the ability to get out of your position. That is what concerns me. So I'd much rather be in control. There will come a time, though, when things stabilize where I will definitely stake. And I did seriously consider it with Ethereum, but I didn't yet. So let me see. Why is Ethereum tanking? Everything is tanking. So that's just the nature of the beast. But when if you just look out for a second, so let's look at Bitcoin just for the last 6 months. 6 months ago, Bitcoin was at 13,000, 14,000. Now it's at 46,000, 45,600. A few weeks ago, it was at 64,000. So these things are volatile. And if you've lived through 2017, 30% downwicks, 40%, 85% downwicks are very, very common. So it's just par for the course in this space, I'm afraid. I'll answer one more question and then let you guys get on with your Sunday night. How low will Bitcoin go? So I thought the Bitcoin floor, in fact, I wish you guys could see a chart of mine right now. And I posted this on Patreon. I posted the strong support level today at around 40, what I thought would be the bottom, but 46,300. And we pierced through that. It wicked down. And it quickly got bought up, went all the way down to 43,000. I think we're close to the very bottom now. I don't think it'll go down anymore. Like if you look at the history of all the FUD that we've been hit with all across the board, it's actually surprisingly strong. So from that perspective, we'll see. So Upsar, Bitcoin dropped after CPI report and before Elon tweets. What data supports it being an inflation hedge? So here's a bit for the furry analyst. Thank you so much. And thank you for being a long-time supporter as well. There's funny things. So another question that I should have really spoken more about is the correlation between crypto and the stock market. So sometimes the people that actually own crypto also own equities. And when equities tank, it forces them to sell other assets to either deal with margin calls or reallocate towards different portfolios. So we're not quite at the stage yet where crypto is completely independent and uncorrelated to the stock market, but that time is coming soon. The stuff that I've been banging the table on about inflation for the longest time is here. It's real. It's completely understated in the CPI report. And if you looked at that CPI report, it took everybody by surprise. And that's why it also took the stock market down. So it is still an inflation hedge. The question is for you, Opsar, would you want your $1 million in fiat to stay in a bank account today or put in something that's very pristine and very limited in supply? And again, go back to the 2% or less than 2% adoption rate of Bitcoin today. The future just remains very bright. So people are just still waking up. Again, those that own crypto or Bitcoin today are very few, very rare in the population of the world. And I kind of also address that with the people that don't own Bitcoin, or they're afraid to buy it now because it's too high. So again, stay strong. I bought Bitcoin today. I bought Solana today. So just think about that. So thank you so much, everybody. I'm going to wrap up, and this is a very quick, fast one that'll pop in. Oh, yeah, Matic, very good. Aave, very good. These are ones that are actually on my list to review and do an analysis on. So you're going to see at least 2 or 3 next week. And by the way, if I ever do a video on a crypto, I also will own that crypto because I have to put my money where my mouth is. So I want to say a big thank you. Happy Sunday to everybody. I love you all. And thank you for all the support. And if you like this content, of course, hit the like. That's why I do this. I want to help others and get the word out there as well. Try to share as much good information as I can. I want to thank everybody again and have a good evening. See ya.